One last letter. One last sin.
The bank alert hit my phone at 3:21 a.m. $15,000 transferred to Coinbase Exchange. I'd never heard of Coinbase Exchange. I sat up in bed, squinting at the screen. Tanya slept beside me, her breathing steady and deep. Beautiful even in sleep, dark hair spilled across the pillow like ink. My wife of 8 years, mother of our daughter Emma, the woman who just stole 15 grand from our joint account. I slipped out of bed, bare feet cold on hardwood. In the kitchen, I pulled up our banking app. The transfer was real, authorized with Tanya's login credentials at 11:23 p.m. last night. While I was watching Netflix downstairs, she was upstairs moving our money. My hands shook as I scrolled through recent transactions. $3,000 to something called blockchain ventures, another $5,000 to digital asset management, all within the past 2 weeks. $23,000 gone. I owned Mason's garage downtown. 32 years old, built the business from nothing after Dad died. We lived paycheck to paycheck, but it was honest work. Every dollar mattered. Eric? What are you doing? Tanya stood in the doorway, silk nightgown clinging to her curves. Even angry, I felt that familiar pull. She'd been distant lately, working late at the real estate office, always on her phone. I'd blamed stress. You tell me, I said, holding up the phone. Her face didn't change. No surprise, no guilt. Just cold calculation. We discussed this, she said. We discussed what? You stealing our money? It's an investment. Logan showed me the opportunity. Cryptocurrency is the future, Eric. You're too scared to take risks. Logan Price, real estate developer, drove a BMW, wore suits that cost more than I made in a month. Tanya had been working with him on some commercial properties. Without telling me? You would have said no, because it's our money. She moved to the coffee maker, casual as discussing weather. It's going to triple in 6 months. Then you can thank me. I stared at her back. This wasn't my wife. Tanya made lists, planned everything, asked my opinion on buying groceries. She didn't move $23,000 in secret. I want it back. Today. It doesn't work that way. The money's locked for minimum 6 months. Then unlock it. She turned, eyes flashing. God, Eric, this is why we're stuck. You think small, act small. Logan says, I don't give a damn what Logan says. Keep your voice down. Emma's sleeping. But Emma wasn't sleeping. Our 7-year-old stood at the bottom of the stairs, clutching her stuffed rabbit, dark eyes wide with fear. Daddy, why are you yelling? Tanya moved fast, scooping Emma up. Daddy's just worried about work, baby. Go back to bed. As she carried Emma upstairs, I heard whispers. Tanya's voice, soothing. Then Emma's door closing. When Tanya came back, her expression had hardened. You're scaring her, she said. I'm scaring her? You stole our daughter's college fund. I invested it. There's a difference. I wanted to scream. Instead, I grabbed my keys. Where are you going? Work, where I make the money you steal. At the garage, I called the bank. Fraud department. Explain the situation. I'm sorry, Mr. Mason, but your wife is an authorized user on the account. These transactions appear legitimate. She didn't tell me about them. That's not illegal, sir. You'll need to speak with her directly or contact a lawyer. A lawyer? With what money? I spent the morning under the hood of a Chevy, trying to focus. Grease and oil, simple problems with simple solutions, not like the mess my life had become. Around noon, my phone buzzed. Text from an unknown number. Check your mailbox at home. I stared at the message. Wrong number. Spam. But something cold settled in my stomach. The envelope was Manila, no return address. My name typed on a label. Inside, a USB drive and a note. You deserve to know the truth. I drove to the library, found an empty computer station, plugged in the drive, audio files, dozens of them. I put on headphones, clicked the first one. Tanya's voice, clear as day. He's so screwing clueless, Logan. Sits in that garage all day, grease under his nails, thinking he's building something. It's pathetic. Logan's laugh, rich and deep. How much did you get this time? 15. He'll notice tomorrow, probably throw a fit. But what's he going to do, divorce me? He can't afford a lawyer. My vision blurred. I clicked the next file. The power of attorney was genius, Tanya said. Doctor Martinez signed off on the mental health assessment. Says Eric's been showing signs of depression, erratic behavior. Couple more months, I can get temporary guardianship. And the garage? Already transferred to my name. Eric signed the papers last month thinking it was insurance renewal. He doesn't read anything I put in front of him. I ripped off the headphones, stomach churning. The power of attorney. She'd brought papers home 3 weeks ago, said it was for Emma's school forms. I'd signed without reading. The garage, my father's legacy, the business I'd built with my own hands. Gone. I clicked another file, hands shaking. When do we move? Logan asked. Soon. I just need to clean out the joint accounts first, maybe sell the house. What about the kid? Emma comes with me. Eric won't fight for custody. He's too weak. Too weak. I'd loved this woman for 10 years. Married her, built a life with her, given her everything I had, and she thought I was weak. The last file was recent, yesterday's date. What if he doesn't sign? Tanya asked. Then we force him out. I know people. A few noise complaints, maybe some pill paraphernalia planted in the garage. Small-town cops are easy to buy. You'd frame him? Baby, I'd do anything for us. Eric's just collateral damage. I sat there for 20 minutes, staring at the screen. Cars passed outside the library windows. Normal people living normal lives, not knowing their world could collapse in 37 audio files. Someone had recorded these conversations. Someone who knew about the betrayal and wanted me to know too. Who? I copied the files to my phone, wiped the USB clean. At home, Tanya was in the kitchen making dinner. Emma sat at the table doing homework. How was work? Tanya asked, not looking up from the stove. Fine, she glanced at me, frowning. You look pale. Everything okay? I wanted to confront her, scream about the recordings, demand answers. But something held me back. Maybe it was Logan's voice talking about framing me. Maybe it was Emma at the table, pencil in hand, innocent. Or maybe for the first time in my life, I was thinking like a chess player instead of a pawn. Just tired, I said. That night, Tanya rolled toward me in bed, hand sliding across my chest. I'm sorry about this morning, she whispered. The investment thing, I should have talked to you first. Her touch felt like ice. It's okay. I love you, Eric. You know that, right? I stared at the ceiling. I know. But I didn't know anything anymore. Friday morning, I called in sick to work. Drove to the county courthouse, pulled property records. The garage was listed under Tanya's name, transfer dated 3 weeks ago. My signature on the documents, witnessed and notarized. At the bank, I tried to access our business account. Frozen. Tanya had claimed financial authority due to my unstable mental condition. Dr. Martinez's assessment was already on file. I sat in my truck outside the bank, watching people come and go. Normal Friday afternoon. Nobody knew Eric Mason's life had just ended. My phone rang. Tanya. Where are you? She asked. Emma's school called. You were supposed to pick her up. Shit, I'd forgotten. I'll get her now. Are you drinking? What? You sound strange. And you called in sick, but you're not home. I had errands. Silence. Then, we need to talk when you get home. Emma was waiting with her teacher when I arrived, backpack slung over her shoulder. She ran to me, all smiles. Daddy, Mrs. Peterson says we're doing science fair next month. Can we make a volcano? Sure, sweetheart. In the rearview mirror, I watched her chatter about school, homework, friends. She had no idea her mother was planning to steal her away from me. At home, Tanya was in the living room with a man I didn't recognize. Suit, briefcase, the look of someone who charged by the hour. Eric, this is Dave Sullivan. He's a lawyer. Sullivan stood, extending his hand. Mr. Mason. Your wife asked me to speak with you about some concerns. I didn't shake his hand. What concerns? Please, sit down. I'll stand. Tanya moved closer to Sullivan like she needed protection. From me. Her husband of 8 years who'd never raised his voice until yesterday. Eric, Sullivan said, your wife is worried about your mental state. The drinking, the erratic behavior, missing work. I'm not drinking. The shouting matches, scaring your daughter, I never shouted at Emma. And now there's evidence of financial irresponsibility. Attempting to withdraw large sums without consultation. It's my money, Sullivan's eyebrows raised. See, this anger, Mr. Mason, it's exactly what your wife described. I looked at Tanya. She was crying. Actually crying, tears streaming down her face. I'm scared, Eric, she whispered. You're not yourself. The things you say, the way you look at me. Emma asked why Daddy seems angry all the time. She was good, better than good. If I didn't know about the recordings, I might have believed her myself. I think it's best if you stay somewhere else for a while, Sullivan said. Until you get help. This is my house. Actually, it's not. Sullivan opened his briefcase, pulled out papers. Mrs. Mason filed for a temporary restraining order this morning. You have 24 hours to collect your belongings and vacate the premises. I stared at the documents. Legal seal, judge's signature, all official. On what grounds? Domestic disturbance, Mrs. Mason has witnesses who'll testify to your aggressive behavior, verbal misuse, threats of violence. I never threatened anyone. Mrs. Henderson next door heard you screaming at your wife Wednesday night. Mr. Garcia across the street saw you storm out of the house Thursday morning, slamming doors, driving recklessly. More lies. But they sounded believable. Small details that painted a picture of an unstable man. Emma appeared in the doorway, still in her school clothes. Daddy, are you leaving? The words hit like physical blows. Tanya moved quickly, pulling Emma away. Daddy's going to stay with Uncle Mike for a while, baby. Until he feels better. Are you sick, Daddy? I knelt down, looked into those dark eyes, so much like mine. I'm fine, sweetheart. This is just grown-up stuff. I'll see you real soon, okay? She hugged me tight. Over her head, I saw Tanya watching. No emotion on her face now. Cold as winter. I packed a bag. Basic clothes, toiletries, my father's watch. Everything else I'd built over 32 years stayed behind. As I loaded the truck, neighbors watched from their windows. Word would spread fast. Eric Mason, the garage owner, finally cracked. Wife had to get a restraining order. Poor woman. Poor child. Sullivan handed me a card as I climbed into the truck. There are programs, Mr. Mason. Anger management, obsession counseling. Your wife isn't unreasonable. Show some progress and maybe we can work something out. I drove to my cousin Mike's place in Idaho. 10 hours of highway, mountains, and silence. Mike lived alone on 40 acres, worked construction, asked no questions. Stay as long as you need, he said, cracking 2 beers on his porch. For 10 days, I didn't speak to anyone. Helped Mike repair his barn, fixed his tractor, worked until my hands bled. Thinking. On the 11th day, I shaved my beard, cut my hair short, drove back to town. I looked different, lean, focused, empty. Maz Gutierrez was drinking alone at Murphy's bar when I found her. Late 30s, sharp suit wrinkled from the day, expensive heels kicked off under the table. She looked up when I approached, recognition flickering. Eric Mason. Heard you got kicked out of your own house. Small town. Everyone knew everyone's business. Mind if I sit? She gestured to the empty chair. Free country. Mostly. I'd seen Maz around town, knew she worked for Logan Price's development company. Smart woman, handled contracts and financing. Tonight she looked like someone who'd had a very bad day. You okay? I asked. She laughed, bitter. Got fired today. After 3 years of making that a-hole rich, he canned me over a personality conflict. Logan? The one and only. Apparently asking questions about missing invoices is bad for morale. I signaled the bartender for 2 more drinks. What kind of questions? Maz studied me. Why do you care? Let's just say Logan and I have mutual interests. She was quiet for a long moment, then pulled out her phone. Showed me a photo of a bank statement. Luxury Properties LLC. Logan's shell company. $3 million in deposits over 6 months, all from private investors. Problem is, I can't find any actual properties being developed. Where's the money going? Cryptocurrency exchanges, digital asset management. High-risk speculation. She took a long drink. And personal expenses. New BMW, vacation in Costa Rica, that fancy apartment downtown. My pulse quickened. He's using investor money for personal spending? Fraud. Plain and simple. But I made the mistake of putting it in writing, emailing Logan about irregularities. So he fired me before I could report it. Do you still have the records? Every invoice, every email, every bank transfer? She smiled grimly. Logan never was good with computers. Left everything on the shared drive. I leaned forward. What would it take for you to share those records? Depends. What's your angle? Logan's been screwing my wife. Used her to steal my business, my house, my kid. I want to return the favor. Maz's eyes lit up. Now that sounds interesting. We moved to a booth in the back, away from other drinkers. Maz pulled out a laptop, showed me files that made my head spin. Forged documents, manipulated contracts, investor funds diverted to personal accounts. Here's the beautiful part, she said, opening another folder. Logan's been promising investors a luxury apartment complex. Broke ground last month, big ceremony. But the permits are fake. Fake how? City planning never approved the project. Environmental impact study was never completed. The whole thing's illegal. Soon as inspectors show up, it all falls apart. When? Should have been weeks ago. But Logan's been bribing someone in the city office to delay inspections. She showed me text messages between Logan and someone called DQ, Detective Quinley, Logan's inside man in the police department. Quinley's been covering for him. Delayed the fraud investigation, buried noise complaints about construction violations. I thought about the audio recordings, Logan talking about buying cops. It was all connected. I need those files, I said. What's in it for me? Revenge. And maybe a new job when this is over. She smiled. I like the way you think, Eric Mason. That night, Maz uploaded everything to a secure server. Invoices showing Logan stealing investor money, bank records proving fraud. Email chains discussing bribery, text messages with my wife detailing their plan to destroy me, and one audio file that made my blood freeze. What about Eric? Logan asked. He's too soft, Tanya replied. Probably won't even fight the divorce. And honestly, if he eliminates himself over this, we inherit everything anyway. The life insurance alone is $200,000. If he eliminates himself, they were counting on me to break, expecting me to give up, maybe even hoping I'd do their work for them. Instead, I was going to teach them what soft really looked like. Monday morning, I opened a new business account at First National, 3 towns over. Transferred the remaining funds from Mason's garage into a trust managed by Mike's lawyer friend in Idaho. Legally bulletproof, beyond Tanya's reach. Next stop, county courthouse. Filed a motion to reverse the power of attorney based on fraudulent mental health documentation. Dr. Martinez had never actually examined me. His assessment was based entirely on Tanya's statements. At the police station, I submitted a formal complaint for bank fraud, identity theft, and forgery. Detective Morrison took my statement, promised to investigate. What about Detective Quinley? I asked. He's been handling my wife's case. Morrison frowned. Quinley's been out sick, family emergency. Convenient. That afternoon, I met with Sarah Chen, a young attorney who specialized in family law. Showed her the audio recordings, the financial documents, the property transfers. This is extensive fraud, she said. Criminal and civil violations. But gathering evidence without your wife's knowledge could be problematic. The recordings were given to me anonymously. By whom? I don't know. She studied the files. We can work with this. File for emergency custody, asset recovery, criminal charges, but it'll take time. How much time? Months. Maybe longer if they fight it. Too long. By then, Logan and Tanya would have cleaned out everything and disappeared. That evening, I parked outside Logan's office building, expensive glass and steel prime downtown location. His BMW sat in the reserved spot closest to the entrance. At 7:30, Tanya emerged from the building. Not alone. Logan's arm around her waist, both of them laughing. She wore a dress I'd never seen before, jewelry that cost more than our mortgage payment. They climbed into his BMW, drove toward the expensive part of town. I followed at a distance, watched them enter Chez Laurent, the fanciest restaurant in the county. Through the window, I saw them at a corner table. Champagne, candlelight, hands intertwined across white linen. Tanya's head thrown back, laughing at something Logan said. My wife, the mother of my daughter, living it up on stolen money while I slept on my cousin's couch. I took photos, sent them to Maz with a text. Ready for phase 2? Her reply was immediate. Let's burn it all down. Tuesday morning, Logan's troubles began. IRS audit notice, environmental protection violation, city planning department surprise inspection. His permit for the luxury apartment complex was revoked. Construction was halted. Investors started asking questions about their money. By Wednesday, 3 major backers had withdrawn funding. Logan's shell company accounts were frozen pending investigation. Thursday brought the coup de grace. Maz's evidence package, delivered anonymously to the FBI Financial Crimes Unit, the State Attorney General, and every investor in Logan's projects. I was having coffee at Murphy's when my phone rang. Tanya, frantic. Eric, I need to see you. It's important. I can't. Restraining order, remember? Please. Logan's in trouble. The FBI froze our accounts. Our accounts. Like they were married. Not my problem. It's Emma's college fund. Everything we worked for. Everything I worked for, while she planned to steal it. Meet me at the garage, I said. 1 hour. She was waiting in the parking lot when I arrived, still beautiful but frayed around the edges. Dark circles under her eyes. Cheap clothes instead of designer wear. Eric, thank God. I was afraid you wouldn't come. I unlocked the office, didn't invite her in, made her stand in the doorway like a stranger. What do you want, Tanya? Logan's being investigated for fraud. They say he stole investor money, used it for personal expenses. It's all a misunderstanding, but your sugar daddy's broke. Her face flashed with anger. Don't be crude. Crude? You stole my business, kicked me out of my house, and planned to take my daughter, but I'm being crude. I have recordings, Tanya. Every conversation, every plan. Every time you called me weak. The color drained from her face. What recordings? Your little chats with Logan. Discussing how to frame me, steal my assets, hoping I'd eliminate myself so you could collect insurance money? She stepped backward, shaking her head. That's impossible. We never... Who gave you those? Does it matter? Eric, listen to me. Whatever you heard, it's not what you think. Logan was just what? Just using you to destroy my life? Just stealing from his investors? Just bribing cops? Her mouth opened and closed like a fish. For 8 years, Tanya had been the smart one, the planner, the one who thought 3 moves ahead. Now she looked lost. I need money, she said finally. Just enough to get back on my feet. Emma's fine. She's staying with your sister while Mommy figures out her life. You called Janet? I called everyone. Your parents, your sister, your boss, told them exactly what kind of person you are. You fool. Weak, remember? That's what you called me. Too soft to fight back. I stepped closer, close enough to smell her perfume, the same scent she'd worn on our wedding day. Here's what's going to happen, I said quietly. You're going to sign over custody of Emma. You're going to admit to fraud and forgery. And you're going to disappear from our lives forever. Or what? Or I release everything to the media. Audio recordings, financial documents, photos of you and Logan spending stolen money. Every dirty detail of your little scheme. She was crying now, mascara running down her cheeks. Eric, please. I made mistakes, but I love you. I love Emma. We can fix this. You love Logan's money. You love the idea of being rich. You never loved me. That's not true. I pulled out my phone, played one of the recordings. He's so damn clueless, Logan. Sits in that garage all day, grease under his nails, thinking he's building something. It's pathetic, her own voice, clear and cruel. You have 24 hours, I said. Sign the papers, or face the consequences. I walked away, left her standing in the parking lot. In my rearview mirror, I saw her collapse against her car, shoulders shaking, but I felt nothing. The man who'd loved her was gone, replaced by someone harder, someone who understood that soft got you destroyed. Logan's investor party was scheduled for Saturday night at the Grand Ballroom downtown. Luxury Properties presents The Future of Development, according to the invitation Maz showed me. Damage control. Logan was trying to convince his remaining backers that the FBI investigation was just a misunderstanding, that their money was safe, their investments secure. He had no idea what was coming. I spent Friday preparing. Haircut, new suit, rehearsing my role. Tonight, I wouldn't be angry or emotional, just a concerned investor asking uncomfortable questions. Maz handled the technical details. She'd worked enough of Logan's events to know the setup: wireless presentation system, multiple screens, live stream for remote investors. Security's minimal, she said. Logan's too cheap for real protection. Just one guy at the door checking names. What about the live stream? Handled. I still have admin access to their social media accounts. Logan never bothered changing passwords after he fired me. Sloppy. Saturday evening, the Grand Ballroom buzzed with nervous energy. 50 investors, mostly older couples who'd trusted Logan with their retirement savings. They wore their best clothes, put on brave faces, but fear showed in their eyes. Logan worked the room like a politician, all smiles and firm handshakes. He'd lost weight, looked strained, but still projected confidence. Tanya stood beside him in a red dress that probably cost more than most people's rent. They looked like a power couple, beautiful, successful, untouchable. I entered during the cocktail hour, took a position near the back. Logan saw me immediately, his smile faltering for just a moment before recovering. "Ladies and gentlemen," he announced, moving to the podium, "thank you for joining us tonight. I know recent events have raised concerns, and I want to address them directly." Behind him, presentation screens showed architectural renderings of the luxury apartment complex, computer-generated images of a gleaming tower that would never exist. "The allegations against luxury properties are completely unfounded," Logan continued. "Our books are open, our projects are legitimate, and our commitment to investors remains absolute." Polite applause. The audience wanted to believe him. These were people who'd worked their whole lives, saved every penny, trusted Logan with their futures. "Now, I'd like to show you exactly where your investments are going." He clicked a remote, advancing to the next slide. Instead of financial charts, the screens filled with bank statements showing Logan's personal purchases, the BMW, vacation expenses, designer clothes. Confused murmurs rippled through the crowd. Logan clicked frantically, but the presentation had been hijacked. Next slide, audio transcripts of Logan and Tanya discussing investor fraud. Logan, "These idiots will believe anything." "Tell them it's a guaranteed return. They'll throw money at us." Tanya, "What if they find out about the fake permits?" Logan, "By then, we'll be in Costa Rica." The room erupted, investors shouting, demanding explanations. Logan abandoned the podium, but security guards blocked the exits. Not his security, FBI agents who'd been waiting outside. "Ladies and gentlemen, please remain calm," Special Agent Torres announced. "We're executing search warrants related to an ongoing investigation." Chaos, investors screaming about their money. Tanya trying to slip away but blocked by federal agents. Logan pointing at me across the room, face purple with rage. "Him!" he shouted. "Eric Mason, he's behind this. He's been stalking us, threatening us." Agent Torres looked in my direction. I raised my hands, kept my voice calm. "I'm just a concerned investor," I said. "Lost my savings to Mr. Price's company." More lies appeared on the screens. Forged documents, bribed officials, every crime Logan had committed over the past 2 years displayed for everyone to see. Mrs. Henderson, an elderly woman who'd invested her late husband's pension, walked up to Logan and slapped him hard across the face. 30 years, my Harold, worked for that money," she said. 30 years. Other investors closed in. Logan backed against the wall, Tanya beside him, both looking trapped. "This is all fake!" Logan yelled. "Doctored evidence! Someone's trying to frame me!" "The FBI doesn't raid fake crimes," Agent Torres said dryly. "Logan Price, you're under arrest for wire fraud, money laundering, and conspiracy." As they cuffed him, Logan's eyes found mine again. Pure hatred. He mouthed something I couldn't hear over the noise, but I could read his lips. "I'll destroy you." Tanya tried to follow as they led Logan away, but Agent Torres stopped her. "Mrs. Mason, isn't it? We'd like to speak with you as well." The ballroom slowly emptied. Investors filing police reports, FBI agents collecting evidence, media crews arriving as word spread. I slipped out through a side exit, drove home to Mike's place in Idaho. On the highway, I listened to news radio covering the story. Prominent developer arrested for fraud, millions in investor money missing, FBI investigation ongoing. By morning, it would be national news. Logan Price, the golden boy of real estate development, exposed as a common thief. And Tanya would realize she'd bet on the wrong horse. 3 days after Logan's arrest, Maz called with bad news. "They made bail," she said. "Logan's family put up their ranch as collateral. He and Tanya are in the wind." "Where?" Last ping from Tanya's phone was near the Canadian border. "They're running." I wasn't surprised. Logan had connections, offshore accounts, backup plans. Men like him always had exit strategies. What about Emma? Still with Tanya's sister. Child Services is involved now. Custody hearings scheduled for next week. Good. Emma was safe, away from the chaos her mother had created. But Logan and Tanya running free bothered me. They'd destroyed lives, stolen futures, left dozens of families broke and desperate. Justice through the courts would take years, and they'd probably flee the country before trial. That wasn't acceptable. I drove back to town, parked outside Logan's office building. FBI tape across the doors, security guards preventing access. But I wasn't interested in the office. Logan owned a cabin in the Montana mountains 2 hours north of town. Hunting retreat, off the grid, perfect place to lay low while planning an escape route. The property records were public, purchased 3 years ago under his mother's name, utilities shut off last winter. But Maz's financial records showed recent payments to a propane company, grocery deliveries, satellite internet installation. They were hiding in the mountains, waiting for the heat to die down. I drove north through winding forest roads, stopped at a gas station near the turnoff to Logan's property. The clerk was a local, weathered face and knowing eyes. "You boys heading up to the Price place?" he asked. "Boys." City fella and his woman. "Came through yesterday, bought supplies." Looked nervous. "What kind of supplies?" "Food, camping gear, gas cans. Like they were planning to be up there a while." I bought a detailed topographic map, studied the terrain. Logan's cabin sat in a valley, accessible only by a single dirt road. Dense forest on 3 sides, steep cliffs to the north. Easy to hide in, hard to escape from. That evening, I hiked up through the trees, found a position overlooking the cabin. Lights were on, smoke rising from the chimney. Through binoculars, I saw movement inside. Logan paced near the windows, phone pressed to his ear, probably calling lawyers, trying to arrange new identities, counting his offshore money. Tanya sat on the couch, head in her hands. Even from a distance, she looked broken. They had maybe a day before federal marshals tracked them down. Logan was smart, but not smart enough to stay hidden forever. I could wait for the FBI to handle it. Let justice take its course through proper channels. Or I could end this myself. I thought about Mrs. Henderson, slapping Logan at the investor meeting. 30 years her husband had worked, saved every penny for retirement. Now she was broke because Logan wanted a BMW. I thought about Emma, asking why Daddy seemed angry all the time. A 7-year-old girl whose mother cared more about money than family. I thought about 8 years of marriage, building a life together, trusting someone completely. And I thought about that audio recording. If he eliminates himself, we inherit everything anyway. They'd wanted me destroyed. Expected me to break, maybe even hoped I'd do their work for them. Time to show them what destroyed really looked like. I waited until 3 a.m. when the cabin was dark and quiet, crept down through the trees, circled to the back door. Logan had always been careless with security. His cabin had basic locks, no alarm system. The door opened with a soft click. Inside, embers glowed in the fireplace. Empty wine bottles on the coffee table, scattered papers that looked like travel documents. Logan's escape plan, probably fake passports and offshore account numbers. A noise from the bedroom, footsteps, whispered voices. "Did you hear something?" Tanya asked. "Just the wind. Go back to sleep." I moved through the cabin, noting details. Logan's laptop open on the kitchen table, showing flight schedules to countries with no extradition treaties. Suitcases packed by the door, ready for a quick exit. They really thought they were going to just disappear. "Logan, I'm scared. We're fine. Tomorrow we drive to Seattle, catch the flight to Panama. By Monday, we'll be drinking cocktails on the beach." "What about Emma?" Silence. Then Logan's voice, cold and dismissive. "What about her?" "She's my daughter. She's baggage. Eric will take care of her, collect welfare, whatever." "Not our problem. Not our problem." My 7-year-old daughter was baggage. I stepped into the bedroom doorway. Logan was pulling on pants, Tanya still in bed wrapped in sheets. "Hello, Logan." He spun around, face going white. Tanya screamed, "Eric! How did you find you? You're not as smart as you think." Logan backed toward the window, hands raised. "Look, man, we can work this out. The money, the garage, everything. We'll give it back." "Will you?" "From Panama." His eyes flicked to the laptop, then back to me. "You don't understand. The FBI, they're coming for us. We have to run. Because you're criminals. Because we're scapegoats. The whole system is corrupt, Eric. We just played the game better than most." Tanya climbed out of bed, pulling on Logan's shirt. "Eric, please. I know you're angry, but this isn't you. You're not violent." "You're right. I'm not violent. I'm thorough." I pulled out my phone, started recording. "What are you doing?" Logan asked. "Getting the truth, all of it. Every detail of how you stole from investors, how you used my wife to destroy my life, how you plan to abandon my daughter. I'm not saying anything without a lawyer. Then Tanya can talk. Unless she wants to go down with you." Tanya looked between us, calculating. Even now, even caught, she was working angles. What do you want to know? She asked quietly. Everything. Start with when you decided to betray me. She sat on the edge of the bed, wrapped the shirt tighter around herself. It wasn't supposed to hurt you. Logan said we could make millions, move somewhere warm, start over. By stealing my business. By taking opportunities you were too scared to take. The garage barely made money, Eric. We were stuck. So you decided to rob me. We decided to grow. Logan had connections, investors, real opportunities, but you would have said no to everything. Logan moved closer to the window. Tanya, shut up. Don't tell him anything. Why not? It's over anyway. She looked at me with something almost like relief. Yes, we planned it. The power of attorney, the mental health assessment, transferring the garage. Logan needed legitimate businesses to launder investor money. And the restraining order? To get you out of the house before you figured it out, Doctor. Martinez never examined you. Logan paid him to sign whatever we needed. I kept recording, let her talk. 8 years of marriage, and she was confessing to destroying my life like discussing grocery lists. What about Emma? She was supposed to come with us. Logan promised we'd send for her once we were settled. He just called her baggage. Tanya's face crumpled. He didn't mean it. The stress, the investigation. I meant every word, Logan said. Your kid's a liability, so are you, come to think of it. The truth hit Tanya like cold water. Her face went pale, understanding finally dawning. Logan? You really think I was going to drag a 7-year-old to Panama? Or keep pretending I loved you once we had the money? He laughed, harsh and ugly. You were useful, Tanya. A way to get at Eric's assets. Someone to take the fall if things went wrong. But love? Please. I said whatever you needed to hear, just like I told the investors what they needed to hear. It's called manipulation, sweetheart. Look it up. Tanya stared at him, 8 months of promises crashing down. You fool. Now you're getting it. I stopped recording, pocketed the phone. That should be enough for the FBI. Logan lunged for the window, trying to escape. I caught his arm, spun him around. He swung at me, clumsy and panicked. I'd spent 10 years working on engines. My hands were strong from years of labor. His punch barely staggered me. My punch dropped him hard. Eric, stop, Tanya screamed. You'll eliminate him. No. I won't. I zip-tied Logan's hands behind his back, used duct tape to secure his feet. He was conscious but dazed, crimson smear trickling from his nose. What are you going to do? Tanya asked. Call the FBI. Tell them where to find you. Then drive home and get ready for Emma's custody hearing. That's it? What did you expect? Torture? Homicide? I shook my head. I'm not like you, Tanya. I don't destroy people for money. But you destroyed us. No, you destroyed yourselves. I just made sure everyone knew about it. I called Agent Torres, gave him the cabin's location. 20 minutes, he said. Maybe 30 with the mountain roads. Logan struggled against the zip ties, making muffled threats through the duct tape. Relax, I told him. Federal prison has cable TV. You'll love it. Tanya sat on the floor, still wearing Logan's shirt, tears streaming down her face. Eric, I'm sorry, for all of it. I know that doesn't matter now, but you're right. It doesn't matter. Will you tell Emma? I'll tell Emma her mother made bad choices. That's all she needs to know. Outside, I heard vehicles approaching. FBI, probably with backup. They'd want statements, evidence, explanations. I looked around the cabin one last time. Travel documents scattered on the floor, suitcases full of stolen money, 2 people who'd planned to abandon a 7-year-old girl and disappear forever. Eric, Tanya called as I headed for the door. Could you ever forgive me? I stopped, considered the question. 8 years of marriage, a daughter we'd made together. All the good times before greed poisoned everything. No, I said. I don't think I could. The custody hearing was scheduled for the following Tuesday. I arrived early, wore my best suit, carried a briefcase full of evidence. The courtroom was small, wood-paneled, smelling of old books and stale coffee. Tanya's lawyer was a public defender, young and overwhelmed. She sat beside him in an orange jumpsuit, hands cuffed to a chain around her waist. Logan was in federal custody, no bail this time. Judge Morrison presided, a stern woman in her 60s who'd handled family law for 20 years. She'd seen every kind of custody dispute, every angle parents used to hurt each other. Mr. Mason, she said, you're seeking full custody of your daughter Emma, age 7. Yes, Your Honor. And Mrs. Mason, you're opposing this motion? Tanya's lawyer stood. Your Honor, my client admits to poor judgment in her business dealings, but that doesn't affect her capacity as a mother, doesn't it? Let's review the evidence. My lawyer, Sarah Chen, presented the case methodically. Financial fraud, identity theft, conspiracy to defraud investors, the restraining order based on false allegations. Mrs. Mason used her daughter's father as a pawn in an elaborate theft scheme, Sarah said. She showed complete disregard for her family's welfare, prioritizing financial gain over her child's stability. The judge studied documents, listened to audio recordings, Tanya's voice cold and calculating, discussing how to destroy me. Mrs. Mason, Judge Morrison said, did you plan to take your daughter out of the country? Logan said we could send for her later. After establishing illegal residency in a non-extradition territory, Tanya's lawyer whispered in her ear. She shook her head. I want to answer. Your Honor, I made terrible mistakes, but I love Emma. I would never hurt her. You hurt her by destroying her family, by stealing her father's business and home, by planning to abandon her in pursuit of stolen money. You thought about yourself, your desires, your financial problems, your romantic interests. Did you once consider how your actions would affect your daughter? Silence. Tanya stared at her hands. Your Honor, her lawyer tried, my client is willing to undergo counseling, anger management, whatever the court requires. Mr. Peterson, your client is facing federal charges for conspiracy and fraud. She'll be in prison for the next 5 to 10 years. What exactly are you proposing? The lawyer sat down. Even he could see it was hopeless. Judge Morrison made notes, reviewed documents one more time. The courtroom was silent except for scratching pens and shuffling papers. In the matter of custody for Emma Grace Mason, she said finally, I find that Mrs. Mason has demonstrated a pattern of deception, financial irresponsibility, and disregard for her family's welfare. She planned to relocate the child to a foreign country without the father's consent in connection with criminal activity. Tanya started crying again, quiet tears that didn't move anyone. Full physical and legal custody is awarded to Eric Mason. Mrs. Mason's parental rights are suspended pending resolution of criminal charges. No visitation until further order of the court. The gavel came down with finality. Outside the courthouse, reporters waited. The story had grown beyond local news. Federal fraud case, millions stolen, family destroyed. They wanted statements, explanations, human interest angles. Mr. Mason, how does it feel to have your daughter back? Like justice, I said. Will you be seeking damages from your ex-wife? The law will handle that. Any message for other families affected by Logan Price's fraud? Trust, but verify. And if something seems too good to be true, it probably is. I drove to Tanya's sister's house, where Emma was waiting. She ran to me, threw her arms around my waist. Daddy, Janet says I get to come home now. That's right, sweetheart. Just you and me. What about Mommy? Mommy has to go away for a while, but we'll be fine. And we would be. The garage was mine again. The house was cleared of liens. Emma was safe. I'd rebuilt everything they'd tried to destroy. That evening, Emma and I made dinner together in our kitchen. She chattered about school, friends, the science fair project we'd never finished. Normal 7-year-old concerns. Daddy, why did Mommy have to go away? I considered my answer carefully. Emma would learn the truth eventually, but not tonight. Not from me. Sometimes grown-ups make bad choices, I said, and there are consequences. Will she come back? I don't know, baby. But we're going to be okay either way. She nodded, satisfied with that answer. Children were resilient, able to adapt when the world shifted beneath them. Later, after Emma was asleep, I sat in my home office going through paperwork. Insurance claims, legal fees, business expenses, the practical aftermath of betrayal. My phone rang. Unknown number. Eric Mason? Who's this? Agent Torres, FBI. Thought you'd want to know. Logan Price was found dead in his cell this morning. I set down my pen. How? Self-destruction. Hanged himself with bedsheets. Left a note confessing to everything. What about Tanya? She'll testify for the prosecution now. Probably get a reduced sentence, maybe 3 to 5 years instead of 10. After Torres hung up, I poured a glass of whiskey, sat on the back porch, looking at stars. Logan was dead. Tanya was going to prison. The investors would get some of their money back, though not all. Justice of a sort. But it felt hollow. Logan had taken the easy way out, escaped the consequences of his choices. Tanya would serve her time, get out eventually, maybe even rebuild her life, while dozens of families would never recover their savings. Mrs. Henderson would spend her golden years in poverty because Logan wanted a BMW. That was the real tragedy. Not Logan's passing or Tanya's imprisonment, but the innocent people they'd destroyed along the way. 3 months later, I was rebuilding the garage when Maz stopped by. She'd started her own consulting firm, helping fraud sufferers recover assets. Business was good. "You heard about Tanya?" she asked. "What about her?" "Psychiatric evaluation. Says she's having a breakdown. Can't handle prison." I kept working on the engine in front of me, didn't look up. "Not my problem." "She's been asking for you. Wants to see Emma." Judge said no visitation. "She's appealing. Says she's rehabilitated, wants to be a mother again." Now I looked up. 3 months and she's rehabilitated? Prison therapist thinks she's genuinely remorseful, might recommend supervised visits. I wiped grease from my hands, considered this news. Tanya was smart, manipulative, knew how to play systems. Of course, she'd convinced some therapist she was reformed. "Let her appeal," I said. "Emma's doing fine without her." And she was. Emma had adjusted to our new normal, made friends at school, stopped asking about her mother. Children adapted when they felt safe. "There's something else," Maz said. "Logan's estate. His family's fighting the restitution order, claiming his assets are separate from the fraud. Can they do that? Lawyers can do anything if you pay them enough. Could tie up sufferer compensation for years. More innocent people suffering while lawyers got rich. The system protected the wealthy, even dead ones. What would it take to speed things up?" I asked. Evidence that Logan's personal assets came from investor money. Bank records, purchase receipts, anything linking his lifestyle to the fraud. I thought about Logan's cabin, the laptop he'd left behind. FBI had seized it as evidence, but they were focused on the fraud scheme, not asset recovery. "I might know someone who could help," I said. That evening, I called a number I'd memorized months ago. The anonymous tipster who'd sent me the USB drive with Tanya's audio recordings. "Hello, Eric." I recognized the voice now. Detective Morrison, the honest cop who'd taken my fraud complaint while Quinley was sick. "You're the one who sent me the recordings." Logan was careless with his security cameras. Amazing what people say when they think nobody's listening. Why help me? Because Quinley was dirty, and I was tired of watching criminals buy their way out of consequences. I need another favor. I'm listening. Within a week, Logan's personal financial records appeared anonymously on the sufferer compensation website. Every purchase, every luxury, every dollar traced back to stolen investor funds. His family's legal challenge collapsed. The estate was liquidated. Proceeds distributed to fraud sufferers. Mrs. Henderson got her husband's pension back, plus interest. Justice, finally. But I wasn't finished. 6 months after Logan's passing, I received a call from the prison. Tanya had been approved for supervised visits with Emma, pending my agreement. "I don't agree," I told the social worker. "Mr. Mason, she's completed counseling, shows genuine remorse. She's manipulating you." Just like she manipulated me. Don't you think Emma deserves a relationship with her mother? Emma deserves protection from someone who abandoned her for money. I hung up, blocked the number. 2 weeks later, Tanya herself called from prison. "Eric, please, I know I hurt you, but Emma's my daughter too." "Emma's my daughter. You gave up that right when you chose Logan over family. I made mistakes. You made choices, and choices have consequences. I've changed." The therapy, the reflection time, I understand what I did wrong. "You understand you got caught. That's not fair." "Fair?" I laughed. "You stole my business, kicked me out of my house, planned to abandon my daughter, and hoped I'd eliminate myself. But I'm being unfair? I never wanted you to die. The recordings say otherwise." Silence. Then, I was angry. "I said things I didn't mean. You meant every word, and now you're facing the consequences." Emma needs her mother. Emma needs stability. She needs someone who won't disappear when life gets hard. She needs a parent who puts her first. I can be that person. No, You can't, because that's not who you are. I hung up, changed my number. A year later, Emma started second grade. She'd grown taller, more confident, stopped mentioning her mother. We'd established routines, traditions, a life that worked. One evening, as I tucked her into bed, she asked the question I'd been dreading. "Daddy, why doesn't Mommy love us anymore?" I sat on the edge of her bed, chose my words carefully. Mommy made choices that hurt people. Sometimes when grown-ups do wrong things, they have to go away. Will she come back? I don't know, sweetheart. But even if she doesn't, we're going to be okay. You and me, we're a team. She smiled, hugged her stuffed rabbit. I like our team. Me too, baby, me too. 2 years after Tanya's arrest, I was closing the garage when an unfamiliar car pulled into the lot. A woman got out, thin and pale, wearing cheap clothes and uncertain eyes. Tanya, released early for good behavior. "Hello, Eric." I didn't answer, kept locking up. "I know you don't want to see me, but I need to try." For Emma. "Emma's at soccer practice. She won't be home until 7. I'm not here to take her. I wanted to explain." "Nothing to explain. You chose money over family. End of story." "It wasn't about money." "Not really." I turned to face her. She looked older, harder, marked by prison in ways that wouldn't heal. "Then, what was it about?" "Fear. Of being ordinary. Of staying in this town forever, watching other people succeed while we struggled." Logan offered escape. "So you destroyed everything we built. I thought I was saving us, giving Emma a better life." "You abandoned Emma, called her baggage." "That was Logan. I never—" "You went along with it. Packed your bags, planned to disappear." She was crying now, the same tears that had moved me for 8 years. But they felt different now, calculated, practiced. "I can't change what I did," she said, "but I've served my time. Learned from my mistakes. Don't I deserve a chance to be Emma's mother?" I studied her face, looking for some sign of genuine remorse. But all I saw was the same manipulative woman who'd betrayed me, older and more desperate. "No," I said. "You don't. She's my daughter. Biology doesn't make you a mother. Love does. Sacrifice does. Putting her needs before your own. I can learn. You had 8 years to learn. Instead, you chose betrayal." I climbed into my truck, rolled down the window. "Emma's happy now. She has friends, does well in school, feels safe. I won't let you destroy that." "Eric, please." I drove away, left her standing in the parking lot. In my rearview mirror, she looked small and lost, a woman with nowhere to go. But I felt no pity. Tanya had made her choices, followed them to their logical conclusion. Now she could live with the aftermath. That night, I helped Emma with homework, made dinner, read her a story before bed. Normal father-daughter time, peaceful and predictable. "Daddy," she said as I turned off her light, "I love you." "I love you too, sweetheart." "Forever and always?" "Forever and always." After she fell asleep, I sat in my office reviewing business accounts. The garage was profitable again, expanding. I'd hired 2 mechanics, was considering a second location, building something real, something that couldn't be stolen or destroyed. My phone rang. Unknown number again. "Eric, it's me, Tanya. I told you." "Just listen, please. I'm not asking for custody or visitation. I know I don't deserve that. But could you at least tell Emma I'm sorry? That I love her?" I thought about it. Emma had stopped asking about her mother, seemed content with our life. Why resurrect painful memories? "No," I said. "She's moved on. You should too." "Where am I supposed to go? I have nothing. No job, no family, no friends. Everyone knows what I did. That's called consequences. I can't live like this. With the guilt, the isolation, everyone staring, whispering behind my back. Then leave town, start over somewhere else. With what money? I lost everything too. You chose Logan over family. Deal with it." I hung up, blocked the number. 3 days later, Maz called with news. "Tanya's gone," she said. "Gone where?" "Nobody knows. Checked out of the halfway house, disappeared. Social worker thinks she might have left the state." Part of me felt relief. Emma wouldn't have to face awkward encounters, wouldn't have to choose between parents. But another part wondered if I'd been too harsh, if second chances existed for people who'd betrayed everything. Then I remembered the audio recordings. Tanya's voice, cold and calculating, planning my destruction. The woman who'd hoped I'd eliminate myself so she could inherit my life insurance. No, some betrayals were unforgivable. 6 months later, Emma turned 9. We had a party in the backyard, invited her whole class. She blew out candles, opened presents, laughed with friends. Best birthday ever, she told me that night. Really? Really? I have everything I want. What about? I started to ask about her mother, then stopped. What, Daddy? Nothing, sweetheart. I'm glad you're happy. Because she was happy. Stable, confident, surrounded by people who loved her. Why complicate that with painful truths about betrayal and abandonment? Emma had adapted to our new reality, found peace in predictability, strength in routine. She didn't need a mother who'd chosen money over family. She needed what she had, a father who put her first. Later that night, after cleaning up party decorations, I found an envelope tucked under my windshield wiper. No return address, my name in familiar handwriting. Inside, a short note. Eric, thank you for protecting Emma. You were right about everything. I'm sorry. T. I stared at the paper for a long time, then crumpled it up and threw it away. The next morning, Detective Morrison called. A body found in the river about 50 miles downstream, he said. Appears to be self-destruction. Thought you should know. How can you be sure it's her? Dental records. Plus, she left a note taking responsibility for the fraud, clearing your name of any lingering suspicions. So it was over. Logan dead by his own hand. Tanya choosing the same path. Two people who destroyed so many lives, finally facing the ultimate consequence of their choices. I should have felt something. Victory, closure, maybe even sadness for the woman I'd once loved. Instead, I felt empty. Hollow. Like the ending of a story that had gone on too long. That evening, Emma and I had dinner at our kitchen table. She told me about school, her friends, a book she was reading, normal conversation between father and daughter. Daddy, you seem sad tonight. Just tired, sweetheart. Are you thinking about Mommy? I looked up, surprised. Emma rarely mentioned Tanya anymore. Why do you ask? Sometimes I think about her. Wonder if she's okay. And how does that make you feel? Emma considered the question seriously. Sad, but also relieved. Relieved? That she's not here making you unhappy anymore. 9 years old, and she understood more than most adults. I'm not unhappy, I said. I have everything I need right here. Me too, Daddy. Me too. After dinner, we watched a movie together on the couch. Emma fell asleep against my shoulder, and I carried her to bed. Standing in her doorway, watching her sleep, I thought about the path that had brought us here. The betrayal, the collapse, the long climb back to stability. Emma would grow up without her mother. But she'd also grow up without lies, manipulation, and the constant threat of abandonment. She'd learn that actions had consequences, that trust was earned, that family meant more than money, hard lessons but honest ones. I turned off her light, went to my office, pulled out a bottle of whiskey I kept for special occasions, poured one drink, sat at my desk looking at the business files spread across the surface. Tomorrow there would be work to do. Customers to serve, bills to pay, a daughter to raise. Normal problems with normal solutions. The garage was thriving. Emma was happy and healthy. I'd rebuilt everything they'd tried to destroy. But victory felt different than I'd expected. Quieter. Less satisfying. Maybe because revenge wasn't really about winning. It was about balance, making sure the scales of justice tilted toward truth, even when the system failed. Logan and Tanya had hurt innocent people, destroyed families, stolen dreams. They'd face consequences for those choices. The investors got their money back. Emma was safe and loved. Balance restored. I finished the whiskey, locked the office, went to bed. In the morning, Emma would wake up excited about her day. I'd make breakfast, drive her to school, open the garage for another day of honest work. Life would continue, predictable and secure.